This is Town Square Sunday on demand. And now, 1420 WBSM's Jim Phillips.
Jack Spillane, columnist for the New Bedford Light, back with us this week to discuss some of the region's top stories. Good to see you again, Jack.
Nice to be here as always, Jim.
Jack, I read with interest your column on unattended properties and the mayor's efforts to find the owners of those properties because, for the most part, they're unkept and not very clean. I would agree with the mayor that the city probably is cleaner than it's been in years, but there are still some eyesores. You mentioned it in a recent column, some of these eyesores. And property owners, they don't seem to care. Is that a correct feeling on my part?
Well, there is a certain set of property owners who don't care, or their actions seem to indicate that they don't care. When you have fines in the realm of $42,000 that have not been paid, or I think another one was $16,000, they're just accumulating. They're being penalty. The increments go up, and what the mayor's proposal is that he'll increase the increments quicker. But there are these troublesome landlords who just don't seem to care.
It's really amazing how much the system seems to protect these people. And when I say protect, I mean it just takes a long time to force somebody to take some action. And that's been the case for a lot of years. These properties rack up thousands of dollars in fines. Do any of them get paid?
So they get paid if the property is sold, and then the city has a lien on the property, and they claim it then. One of the problems, I think, is that the landlords have figured out that the city is unlikely to chase them. To chase them costs time and money, and that means hiring assistant city solicitors. It means dealing with the Massachusetts lien law, which is very friendly to the owners. As it's been explained to me, it takes a long time for the city to foreclose on a property for a tax foreclosure, because Massachusetts law makes you go to the ends of the earth to find the most distant people, relatives that might have a claim on the property. It just takes a lot of time and money. The landlords, a subset of landlords, has figured that out, and some of those landlords are big landlords, and they just let the fines accumulate.
So the city council will be considering the mayor's newest plan to an increase in fines, frankly. That's what it amounts to, I guess, right? Is that correct?
So the current law is that the fines increase, but they increase very slowly, and they start at $25, and when you get to having 25 fines, you get to a $300 fine. Mm-hmm. I think it starts at $25, somewhere low like that, and then you get to a $300 fine. What the mayor wants to do is after 7 fines, instead of after 25 fines, then you get to $300. So it'll be quicker, and then, of course, interest is charged on the fines that are not paid. So it can get very expensive. What some people evidently are doing is just seeing it as a cost of doing business. They continue to pay their taxes, and I guess they'll pay the lien when it comes, if the property is sold.
Yeah. So what's the council's position on all this? They lukewarm, supportive?
So I talked to one counselor, and the counselor I talked to is the counselor whose committee it's going through, and that's Ryan Pereira. Ryan, to his credit, has been very forthright that his father owns, I think, 8 properties, and his uncle owns many, many more than that properties. They're big landlords in the city. And he said, yes, we can do that, but he's not sure it's going to work. We had some experts that weighed in as to whether they thought it would going to work or not. The mayor disputes those experts. But Ryan said he was more concerned about fines being meted out to landlords who are not, the mom and pop landlords. And he gave the example of Mount Carmel Church, which got a fine for their trash being disheveled. And he asked, why would they be, on them so much? I don't know how long the Mount Carmel Church trash was disheveled, but they got a fine like anybody else.
All right. So is that coming up next month?
Yeah. Well, May, I think, is right now. They were trying to, it might come out next month because the ordinance committee that was treating it was dealing with the residency requirement, which I think passed this week, the new residency requirement. And Councilor Pereira told me that they would take it up after that.
Okay. There's another vote coming up. in the near future. And that is the vote to determine whether women will be allowed to join the Feast of the Blessed Sacrament Committee. This vote will be watched closely.
Very closely. It's a steep hill for the women who are trying to change the rule to go, because they need a 75% vote. And anybody who has watched the U.S. Senate try to get to a 60% vote knows that a 75% vote is a hard vote to get. The last vote they had considerable support for letting the women join. It was 50-50, but that's not enough. So former Councilor Jane Gonzalez and Tara George, a prominent attorney in town, have announced that they and 5 other women intend to sue the feast, which will be very sad for the feast publicity and possibly expensive for them, because I'm not a lawyer, but as has been explained to me, Massachusetts case law is if you're running a big public event that allows the public to take part in it, you can't discriminate.
Well, so this vote's going to be watched closely. I'm not sure if this next vote is that in April too? That's in April too. That vote's coming in April, and again, that 75% hurdle is a big one. I mean, there's no question about it. I think in general, probably younger members are in favor of making a change, and older members appear to be stuck in the no column.
Actually, as has been explained to me, some of the older members are actually supporting the women, and some of the younger members are not. Some of the opposition seems to be based on political philosophy, and there's been some talk about the women are trying to make this club woke. It's always been our tradition to have only men, although they also had a tradition that only allowed the sons of Madeiran fathers, and when they were having trouble getting volunteers back in the 90s, they opened it up to the sons of Madeiran mothers. So they have gone away from tradition on occasion.
Yeah, I mean, it's this, if you allow women to become members, I mean, I think they're working now. They're working at the feast.
They don't have any trouble with the women cooking and pouring Madeiran wine.
Yeah, but apparently to sit around and discuss bylaws and other things, I will tell you that having women along as part of this committee, you're going to open up charitable ideas. It's going to be just better for the feast overall, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, you'll just have some perspectives that maybe the men won't come up with on their own, and certainly women like Tara George or Jane Gonzalez are accomplished women that are capable of doing planning and things like that.
I mean, I'm not sure where we go from here, but I'm rooting for a yes vote in April, so we'll see. You're listening to Town Square Sunday. I'm Jim Phillips. My guest is Jack Spillane, columnist for the New Bedford Light. There was a story on the Light webpage this week which talked about some changes in the offshore wind plans that we've kind of thought were already set in stone. A new proposal, I guess, is that Salem take a more prominent role in all of this. And New Bedford, I don't want to say takes a back seat, but will no longer be a place where turbines are delivered.
So this was a story that I had known that Salem was trying to position itself to get a share of the wind turbine business. And we read recently that there are new offshore wind sites off in the Gulf of Maine, which are closer to Salem than New Bedford. And now we have had plans announced this week that Salem will be the site for the storage and launching of the sending out to sea of the turbine parts, which is something that New Bedford had done. And that New Bedford will be involved more in maintenance at the Foss terminal and perhaps some manufacturing down the line. That's a change. And the mayor himself expressed some concern that the South terminal would have a period of a couple of years where it would not be shipping turbines. This is just also striking because it's just in the last year that we've seen the skyline of the waterfront change as these big components have come in. And seeing New Bedford has a share of shipping them offshore, and now the next big place to ship them offshore is going to be Salem. It is striking. It is great news that New Bedford is going to be, having a big share of this maintenance and possibly manufacturing down the line. But it is striking that because the whole thing was built for storage and shipping, as far as I understood.
I mean, I think, look, I get it. If you're going to build, if you're going to have turbines in the Gulf of Maine, Salem makes a lot of sense. But I don't know why New Bedford has to take, and I'll say it's a back seat. I don't know if it's a back seat. I don't know what's going to happen. Now, this decision on this particular plan is supposed to happen in August. State agency is supposed to make. But according to the article in the Light, there was renderings, there was pictures, there was this, that. I mean, it's all like it's a done deal.
They're phrasing it, they're thinking it as if there's going to be work for ports in Connecticut, ports in Rhode Island, ports in New Bedford, ports in Salem. Everybody's going to have a share. There's enough work for all of that. New Bedford's argument always was that we want to get in first so that we will be the default place. And now we see that the planning looks like it's going to all kinds of places. I think there's been, maybe a little bit of overselling of what New Bedford's role, was going to be. But we will have some role, so that's good.
Yeah, we'll have to see where it all goes. That's for sure. And something that we are here in New Bedford, we watch with some anticipation, because frankly, when we saw those turbines being rolling into New Bedford, being on big ships, that was pretty exciting.
I thought that this is the future of New Bedford for the next 10, 15 years. Once the turbines are built, the maintenance work will be an even more important thing. So there is that. I do wonder whether they say that the hurricane barrier doesn't have anything to do with this, but they do have to be below 15 knots wind when they bring things in and out. They do. The components are getting bigger and bigger. You just wonder if it might have something to do with it, but no one has officially told me that.
Yeah. All right, Jack, thanks very much for coming in today. I appreciate your insight, and we'll do it again.
Always fun to talk with things about with the issues of the day with you, Jim.
Very good. That's it for Town Square Sunday. Thanks for listening. Thanks also to Mike Roberts and Tim Weisberg for their help in getting this program on the air and in our various social media platforms. I'm Jim Phillips. Join me next week for Town Square Sunday. Until then, have a wonderful Easter Sunday and a great week ahead.